Dubai is a parody of the 21st century. That's been getting recommended to me every day. I'm assuming that's the same for all of you then. Let's see.
When we hear the word Dubai, most of us picture towering skyscrapers, immense wealth, police with Lamborghinis, 7-star hotels, with the absolute cream of society.
I did not know police got Lamborghinis. That's kind of fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. The cop that pulls you over is just fucking loaded. Wild.
Inside them. Also the Palm Islands, the World Islands, the Burj Khalifa, the Burj Al Arab.
Thanks, I guess I've been chanting the recent Phantom and Schnoz.
So in light of all that, I'm here to make the case
and yeah,
that
I have seen
Dubai,
that, sis.
the Emirates, and the Gulf countries in general are one of the worst places on the planet.
Whoa.
Now, this is a rather bold claim, I realize, but it's one that I can substantiate fully. So let's take a look at what's really behind the glitz and glamour, the true face of Dubai and the Gulf countries.
Money. It's a lot of
To
money.
understand what's going on in a place like Dubai, first let's talk about
There's a big O and Pyro.
In the decades following World War II, Bucharest, the capital, came to face the same problem as many Eastern European capitals did at the time. As urbanization increased and huge residential areas were built out, the need arose for new, high-capacity public transportation. And so Nicolae Ceausescu, the dictator of Romania back in the day, gave out the order to construct a metro line. And so the engineers created a line proposal and presented it to him. And then Ceausescu was like, no, I will design the route personally. And so the former shoemaker assistant, who also called himself the genius of the Carpathians, I am not making this up, sat down and redesigned the entire metro line to have it run along the river.
Have you seen Big O? I think so.
Yes, along. But Nicolae Ceausescu's wife, Elena Ceausescu, a former textile factory worker, also got her fair share of planning. Reportedly, when the planners presented the final version of the metro line to the Ceausescu couple, Elena Ceausescu reportedly asked why the metro would stop inside the inner city at Piața Romana.
And this all ties into Dubai?
The planners told her there aren't any factories, but there is the Bucharest University of Economics where there are lots of students. Hearing that, Elena Ceausescu reportedly said, "Students? They've gotten fat. They grew a belly. They should walk. No station at Romana, let them walk." And so, since Nicolae Ceausescu added nothing to that and nobody else dared to oppose his wife, the station was axed from the plans.
Damn,
but of course, everyone outside of the dictator power couple knew that this was fucking stupid. And so the engineers, having enough foresight, decided to build the station in secret, banking on the fact that they would need to build a station there anyway due to future public pressure. And they were correct. The end result was this ridiculous and dangerously narrow station, since the engineers couldn't build a normal station hall, since they had to disguise their little secret project as regular tunnel boring. And so the moral of the story is, smooth brain dictator plus construction equals dumb shit. And boy,
pretty cool though.
Segue this is to the video's actual subject, Dubai.
Yeah, what did that have to do with Dubai? It just seemed like a really shitty subway.
The city of Dubai is a fucking joke. It's a tasteless parody of everything wrong with modern humanity. And so why do I say that? Let's go through it, shall we?
Thanks, Sub-Legionnaires.
Now,
learning more about my country. Are you from Dubai?
I have already talked about the Burj Khalifa. It's a big dumb tower of glass and steel stuck in the middle of the desert, serving no other purpose than a petrodollar-fueled dick measuring contest. And the building even has its own poem about itself. Like seriously, how pretentious can you get?
I am the life force of collective aspirations and the aesthetic union of many cultures. I see.
Oh, this is so sweet though.
What the hell is that noise? Oh no, it's the poop trucks. Yeah, did you know that the Burj Khalifa isn't connected to a sewage system? So every single day a huge line of poop trucks have to queue up next to the building and suck out all the poop.
So it's like a fucking RV? Wait, are you... Why... What? Hold on, I have to fact check that. I'll just do septic trucks. Oh my god. Why? Exit Prime, Flux, Waffle, and Psychonaut. Yeah, they're transporting 7 million grams of shit a day. Why did they measure that in grams? Or 7 tons. And that's only shit, that's not even pee-pee. That's fucking wild. That's so much shit. Thanks to the resub Gigas and Showtime.
So, Ammar's ambition and Dubai's shining dream included the world's tallest skyscraper, but not a sewer system. And besides, I've talked about this before in the skyscrapers video, there's actually not much point to building a skyscraper. Like, the only situation where it might make sense is when you're physically out of space. But trust me, Dubai does not have this problem, which ties into the next suspect.
Look how cool that is, though. That's awesome. That looks cool. Thanks to Prime Westy and Nerd.
Dubai's Palm Islands are the OG symbols of the city. The construction of the first one, the Palm Jumeirah, started in 2001, if you can believe that. And according to Google's satellite images, it's still not finished. It's still getting built out. And just for good measure, let's take a look at what they
Nature is
actually built
amazing.
here. I mean,
Nature
these
didn't
things
make
do
this.
look nice
They
from
made
space,
this.
But what are they really, from up close and personal?
These are man-made.
Well, the stem is an 8-lane urban freeway, and the leaves are just individual suburban streets. Oh, and there's also a monorail in the middle. Oh, and between The Point and Nakheel Mall, there are no stations. So then, how do people living on the leaves get on this thing? Well, it's a rhetorical question, of course. Just like the real suburbs in America, this thing was built around cars. And the second palm, the Jebel Ali, will be more the same. And then there are the World Islands, of course, which are just a complex of tiny islands for the ultra-rich.
We watched this one.
And, oh my god, this looks outright post-apocalyptic.
Thanks to resub Little Lamb.
Oh, and there's a third palm under construction if the two weren't enough. Oh, and by the way, the sand they use for the palms is not desert sand. They can't use it because the grains are too big. Instead, they have to get the sand from the seafloor. And they achieve this by sucking it up with these big tanker ships. And also annihilating acres of marine life in the process.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it
by
looks
the way,
cool.
These palm islands were built on top of natural coral reefs, which they just ended up basically burying. Oh, and according to NASA measurements, all these islands are sinking at a rate of 5 millimeters per year.
Wow, not
And
bad.
by the way, have you heard about this thing called the rising sea levels?
No, it's fake.
Agency Abu Dhabi, under
It
the most
doesn't
severe
exist.
climate change scenario, nearly all of Dubai, including
Thanks to
the
Tier 1
Palm
Marauder
Islands,
and Tier
would
1
be
Malachi,
underwater.
the prime
Alright, so let me
potato.
get this straight. You had all the money and power in the world to create anything, and you have paid money to annihilate a coral reef to build a sinking suburb on top
What does
of
that
it.
mean, Uncle?
Perhaps I treated you too harshly. And here's the kicker about these islands. That's right, I'm still not done. Why build them on the sea to begin with? I mean, you have the desert. You have all the space you will ever need. So why not just build the palms inverted into the land? You know, having the actual body of the palm not out of sand, but out of water.
'Cause it
would
looks
look
cooler.
Just as impressive
No.
from space, and it wouldn't even demolish all the aquatic life. Hang on
Disagreed.
a second, they did do something like this already, just below the palm tree. And, oh no, these are American-style suburbs? Oh man. I can't believe it. They took the worst urbanism practices from the US and they implemented it one-to-one.
Whoa,
And they actually
there's-
have all the circles
let's
of
not get
urbanism
carried
happening
away.
here. Copy-paste housing, cul-de-sacs, giant highways cutting through the area, no public transportation, a 12-lane arterial road, Jesus Christ. And so this will be our segue to...
He's convinced me. Dubai sounds like ass. Oh my god. What the
Dubai's
fuck?
urbanism in general is just complete bonkers. It's kind of its own little bubble, really. A
I don't-
strange little
that
rich
doesn't
people's
sound very
dystopia
nice.
in the desert. Take a look at this arrangement. Two sections of skyscrapers separated by a 20-something lane freeway, and behind it a bunch of
Thanks to the
cul-de-sac
resub,
suburbs and
Saxy.
golf courses.
And thank you
It's
for the
this
bit, Zero.
strange mixture between Futurama and evil Los Angeles. And this just makes me feel so
You just had a
frustrated
wedding in
because all
Dubai and
that
they
money,
cleared out a
all that
building
power,
and
they could have
streets to
done
make
so
way for
much
poop
more and
trucks.
So much better than this. The way I understand
That's
it,
amazing.
the motive behind building all this flashy stuff was to try and increase tourism, to help the Emirates economy transition away from oil revenues, which is, you know, fair enough. But then why not build something truly unique? Something that isn't just a big dumb tower of glass and steel, or a couple dozen suburban streets on sinking sandbanks, or gigantic malls or golf courses. Imagine a city with full-on historic Arabic Golden Age architecture with modern elements.
Oh,
Okay,
it-
this is concept art from Diablo 3, but
Horrible, it looks horrible.
I have seen skyscrapers, malls,
Oh my god, what a
suburbs,
piece of shit.
urban freeways, or
I don't
golf
even see a
courses
poop
before.
truck.
What I haven't seen is a historical or at least historicist Arab city. That would be a great way of spending all those petrodollars, or at least a better way, I would say. And that might even attract a more quality crowd instead of the oligarchs, trust fund babies, and nouveau-riche idiots. Okay, that's a bit unfair, but Dubai right now is not exactly a haven of intellectualism, so to speak. By the way, did you know
Nowhere
that only
is.
10% of the Emirates population is actually Emirati? The other 90% being immigrants and expats. Well, actually, they're all immigrants.
Thanks to the
It's just
resub
that
Butter
white
and
people came up
Prime
with this
Paris.
word expat, so they don't have to call themselves immigrants abroad because that word is reserved for brown people.
He probably is
Speaking
Zero.
of which, And this right here is my biggest problem with Dubai, the Emirates, and the Gulf states in general. All that luxury, wealth, and opulence you see all around you in Dubai.
This video is full of stereotype and hate.
Poor people from third world countries such as India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh are
seems like he's just hating on the
promising high wages and stable employment. People take loans from friends and family so they can cover the costs of their travel and work visa, usually more than $2,000, despite Emirati law requiring the companies to pay for those. Upon arrival, workers' passports are often confiscated, essentially trapping them inside the country. Workers are forced to work up to 12-hour shifts, up to 7 days a week, for $175 per month on
wow!
Wage arrears are common,
big bucks.
Many workers not receiving money for months on end. To quote from a Human Rights Watch report, the impact on workers whose wages are withheld for even 1 month is very serious. They immediately fall into arrears on the death they owe recruiting agencies in their home countries. They incur additional interest, and they are unable to send money home for their families who depend on their income earned in the Emirates. In some cases, the non-payment of wages means that workers do not have money to buy food or basic goods and end up borrowing money just to survive. The COVID epidemic only made things worse. That and the oil price crashing left many workers jobless. Consequently, many were abandoned by their former employers. They now spend their days in half-abandoned worker camps on the outskirts of the city. Only volunteers and their food donations standing between them and starvation.
Jesus Christ. What does that mean? That's a Fed you just mentioned now, Charlie? What is it? I don't... What's that in reference to? That's a Fed. What are you talking about? I was gonna look something up though real quick. Thanks for the gift sub, Drifter. What is the average salary of Dubai? Because maybe $100 a month is good. Wow! The average salary in Dubai is 17,000 per month. That's of AED, so roughly 4.5k a month USD. Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Not bad. That's just for like a normal entry-level job in Dubai. The average is roughly 4.5k USD a month, according to this report, which is AET International. But remember, stuff is kind of expensive there. True, yeah. What is the cost of living? Cost of living is single person monthly cost without rent, roughly $1,000. To be fair, that's not horrible. That is not bad for the average salary and the cost of living. That isn't bad. I thought it was going to be like a lot more. But I guess with rent it could really pop off. No, I didn't even see that Camino. It didn't come through for me, I don't think. Oh, you're right. I didn't see that. So they get that impounded and converted. That's a pretty cool fact. Dubai is such an interesting place. After watching this video, it seems like a place I would hate to live, though. If I have to wait for the poop truck to come around. And if it's sinking, doesn't sound optimal. Thanks to Resupplex. You gonna paint your nails like Ludwig? I didn't plan on painting them. And I can't click links mercenary. Just tell me what it is in the chat.
A Guardian article quotes a construction worker called Hassan. He says, "Guests on and off visit but when nobody comes, we have to starve. We have nothing." All this just a few kilometers away from the 7-star hotels, the world's tallest skyscraper, the world's biggest mall, and the golf courses for rich foreigners. According to the estimates of the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, between 2012 and mid-2018, more than 10 Indian workers died in Gulf countries every single day. And these are just the Indians. In addition to that, a Jezebel article goes on to say that at least 2 Indians commit suicide every single week.
Holy shit.
A number, they say, that is simultaneously both shocking yet unsurprising.
Thanks to resub
They
spikes.
show photos of the accommodation the
Tier
workers
1
have to
Phoenix.
endure, unfit even for animals. A harsh contrast to Instagram's parallel universe. They call this system modern slavery, and I'm afraid they are correct. This, and the previously mentioned issues, but especially this, is why I hate the Emirates, and especially fucking hate Dubai. The city of Dubai is a fucking joke, one that's unusually cruel. It's a twisted parody of everything wrong with modern humanity. I'll leave you with a poem from Bertolt Brecht, written in
Well, leave me with a Burj
1935,
Khalifa poem.
titled Questions from a Worker, who reads, Who built Thebes of the 7 gates? In the books you will
Thanks to
read
Prime
names of
Marsala.
kings. Did the kings haul up the lumps of rock? And Babylon, many times demolished, who raised it up so many times? In what houses of gold glittering Lima did its builders live? Where, the evening that the Great Wall of China was finished, did the masons go? Great Rome is full of triumphal arches. Who erected them? Over whom did the Caesars triumph? Had Byzantium, much praised in song, only palaces for its inhabitants? Even in fabled Atlantis, the night that the ocean engulfed it, the drowning still cried out for their slaves. The young Alexander
This is a
conquered
poem?
India. Was he alone? Caesar defeated the Gauls. Did he not even have a cook with him? Philip of Spain wept when his armada went down. Was he the only one to weep? Frederick II won the 7 Years'
Hey,
War.
thanks for the long time of
Who
watching,
else won
Cobb.
it? Every page a victory. Who cooked the feast for the victors? Every 10 years a great man. Who paid the bill? So many reports, so many questions.
Thanks to the Prime Alpha Jack.
Thank you for
That
watching.
wasn't a very cool
I'm
poem.
sorry the video took such a dark turn in the end, but as I was looking up stuff for Dubai for the video, I kept encountering more and more just alarmingly fucked up information. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, thank you for watching once again, and please like
That
and
was
subscribe if
interesting.
you haven't already, and do...
I didn't know anything about Dubai. And now I don't know anything about Dubai, but I know a lot of fucked up stuff about it. Why I hate Reddit mods. The dark truth behind Reddit. I wonder what that dark truth is. Thanks to the Prime Live in the resub Tedium. Cartoon Network Universe Fusion Fall. Okay. Well, thanks for the bits, Trashable. I'm sorry to hear that.
Reddit moderators are destroying the entire internet. In fact, Reddit
How'd you get
moderators
some, Tony?
might just be the worst thing to have ever happened in internet history. And by the end of this video, I promise you that you'll agree with me. You know, a Reddit moderator is a lot like a teacher's pet at school. The teacher's pet was that guy we all knew who felt superior to the rest. The guy who'd boss everyone
The
around.
jock,
the guy
the cool
who'd
guy.
tattle on everyone for breaking insignificant rules. You could almost smell their power trip. But what if this guy could boss around millions in the most petty ways imaginable? Well, that's where Reddit moderators come in. Reddit moderators moderate Reddit for free, with their only compensation being the illusion of authority. These powerless and deeply troubled people look to exert power in any way
He
they
must have
can.
got banned from a popular
You're
subreddit.
old. You only had one cake day.
Though, to be fair, Reddit mods can be fucking awful. Who's the main guy? Is it Gallowboob? Gallowboob tried to make a career out of being Reddit's #1 shit poster. On his Twitter, it even says, like, Reddit influencer. And he does seminars on how you can be, like, a marketing guru through being a Reddit mastermind. I think it's Gallowboob. Thanks to the resub Harold. Snarky Lemon. And the 10 gift subs Leon. Thank you, Leon. It is fucking Gallowboob. He even did... Hold on, let me find that video. He did a video. How to make money from Reddit.
It is the dark side of Reddit where promotion and shilling is hard to control.
Does he still post on Reddit?
Going back to these messages quickly, what are these? These are people trying to troll you and also try to get to know you.
I'm like, I have to keep my, what do you call it? Just keep like a protection wall of what is true and what is just
Thanks to
absolutely
resub
trolling,
Bandit,
just
Money, and
because
Celeste.
of, well, getting the hang of the online. So I honestly think most of the stuff I received are genuine. But then again, like
Resub Doorman.
someone asking for...
Yeah, I'm not watching 25 minutes. It basically just gives horrible fucking advice on something that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a Reddit influencer. It's like the only social media site where the more you use it, the less powerful you become and the less you can do with it. On everywhere else, if you get popular on it, you can at least make a career out of it, even Twitter. But Reddit is the only place where the more popular you get, the less options you have to make it a career. He chose the wrong horse. Thanks for the resub, Calcat. I want to see if he still posts, though. Give me 1 sec. Let's see. Here we go. No, he hasn't posted in a year. Oh, never mind. 8 hours ago. I was wrong. Thanks for the resub, Donnie.
Picture of me with their...
They're the same types of people who become abusive police officers, but instead of policing crime, Reddit mods policed language. In 2020, Reddit mods policed language so badly that they ended up deleting 6% of all Reddit posts, and this is because 6 power-hungry mods are now in control of 92 of the top 500 subreddits. So then the real question is, who are these anonymous moderators policing the internet? Why would anyone moderate thousands of subreddits and millions of posts for free? And most important of all, how did 92 of the top 500 subreddits fall into the hands of 6 power-hungry mods? Well, the answer to these questions goes a lot deeper than I initially expected. Because to understand the Reddit mod, you need to understand Reddit. You need to understand where it all went wrong. Because somewhere, somehow, Reddit turned into everything it swore to destroy. Reddit never used to promote tyranny and censorship. Reddit never deleted 6% of all posts. In fact, Reddit used to be a platform for tolerance and free speech. So what on earth happened? Well, this is the real story of the rise and fall of Reddit.
Oh, it's the Illuminati? I fucking knew it. Probably all ties back to Rslash gaming. Worst fucking subreddit
in the
ever.
dorm rooms of the University of Virginia. Co-founder of Reddit, Steve Huffman, otherwise known as Spez, was your typical nerdy character. He was that Zuckerberg type, geeky, computery, smart, and power-hungry, and unbeknownst to him, Spez's perfect match was just across the dorm.
So Alexis and I met in college. We were hallmates first year. He lived right across the hall from me.
He was disappointed because he thought I was a girl.
I was like, oh, Alexis and Mike live across the hall. It must be like a co-ed dorm. That's cool.
It wouldn't take long for Spez to realize Alexis was really just a charming version of himself. And over the following years, Alexis and Spez would become close friends. Their friendship was strengthened by their passion for computing. In order to monetize this passion, they would come up with their first idea for a startup, My Mobile Menu.
And one of the ideas I had was for ordering food from your cell phone. I had told Alexis this idea once. He's like, we should totally build that.
However, the idea was simply too far ahead of its time.
Yeah, pretty innovative.
After the pitch failed to gain enough financial support, the two would begin working on a new idea. During this time, internet culture was in its infancy. Internet memes were only just beginning to crop up here and there, and Spez and Alexis caught on to this. They could tell that internet culture wasn't going anywhere soon. It was clear that if Spez and Alexis could figure out a way to centralize internet culture, millions were to be made. And so Spez and Alexis would set out to...
Actually, they sound like really smart guys.
Their idea was to create a site that would be the front page of the internet. This would later become the adopted slogan of the website, but for now, the slogan was initially called SNU. The intention behind SNU was for people to ask what's new, although it wouldn't take long for them to realize the domain name was already taken. So a few other domain ideas were considered: Uberloo, 360 Scope, Hot SNU, Ripe Fresh, Dose, and numerous others. But eventually, the name Reddit was suggested by Alexis. And much like SNU, Reddit was a mix of the words Reddit, as in, I read it on Reddit. After receiving funding from angel investors, Reddit was released on the 23rd of June, 2005. Over the following months, both Alexis and Spez created numerous fake accounts in order to jumpstart the website, spamming the site with interesting links in order to give any unsuspecting visitors the illusion of a thriving online community.
Alexis and I started submitting all the content just to keep the thing full, right? Because Reddit's no fun if the page is blank.
We would come up with a post and a random username to give the impression that the site had more people on it.
The Reddit team would expand not long after, and in November 2005, Reddit merged with competitor site Infogamy. The merging of Infogamy and Reddit,
I remember when Reddit fucking
a new
launched.
A co-founder named Aaron Schwartz.
Because I used to use
This was
Dig.
a pivotal moment for Reddit. Aaron Schwartz becoming co-founder was the final piece of the jigsaw for Reddit's success. You see, Aaron was a computing prodigy. By the age of 13, Aaron had already created the site Info Network, a site serving as a user-generated encyclopedia. So it would seem that Aaron was the perfect guy to serve as a Reddit co-founder, and this was true. because in the months following the merger, Reddit's popularity began to skyrocket. Although a few months into Aaron's arrival, things started to get rocky. This was because Aaron's view of the world differed greatly to Spez's. Aaron viewed the internet as a tool to hold governments and corporations accountable. He thought the internet could be the ultimate tool for free speech, where anyone, anywhere could express their opinions freely. Aaron thought that information needs to be free, open, and unregulated. Although the same thing couldn't be said for Spez. Spez viewed the internet as an opportunity for business. This was the dividing line between Aaron and Spez.
It's like an actual Marvel
it was
movie.
This divide that would shape the internet as
but
we
with
know today.
goofballs. Now Reddit is only for geniuses.
2005 was a revolutionary year. Facebook had just been released, YouTube was brand new, and Reddit was being spammed with Spez's links. In 2005, the internet was still seen as something nerdy. This was a time 2 years before the release of the first iPhone.
And no, I haven't talked about it, Split. I just don't really have much of an opinion.
iPhone.
Anything could happen. Aaron Swartz wanted to steer the internet into being an electronic libertarian utopia, a world free from government regulation and corporate corruption. He wanted the internet to be a land of pure democracy, where each and every person had an equal say in the world, where real world leaders would be scrutinized in real time, where elites would be forced into open transparency.
Jesus, this guy actually thought he was a superhero.
An opportunity for ordinary people who weren't part of the power structure to take back power to themselves. And Aaron saw Reddit as a beacon of these principles, a hub for ordinary free thinkers. However, Aaron's view of the internet would be confronted by the other side, by the other tech giants who wanted their platforms to become the titans of the digital age. The side that wanted to consolidate and control massive percentages of internet traffic and the money that comes with it. Pioneers of the internet like Zuck wanted a small group of companies to decide what you can and can't say, and a small group of moderators to follow their orders. But Aaron hated these ideas. Aaron hated the corporate world and was motivated to do everything he could for free speech. And at the time, Aaron wasn't alone. In fact, co-founder Alexis could also see the importance of free speech. To Alexis, free speech was a right that must be protected.
All good, Split.
This is why Alexis actually joined Aaron in his campaign against Congress's Stop Online Piracy Act. Alexis even went so far as to launch the National Anti-SOPA protests.
This has become an issue that's much bigger than just saving the internet now. This is a fight to save democracy. It is a fight to show that our elected officials are beholden to the electorate, not to lobbyists.
Woohoo!
This was a period where a large proportion of tech giants actively defended the principles of free speech. And in this time, Reddit was a hub for somewhat serious or interesting discussion. It was diverse, but not stupid. But all of this would quickly change in the years to come.
I had no idea there was such a deep and complex history to Reddit. I thought it was just as simple as, hey, look at Dig. Let's just steal it.
The combination of Spez, Alexis, and Aaron would prove to be a hugely successful business move, and people were noticing. In October 2006, Reddit was sold to Condé Nast Publications. Condé Nast Publications is a mass media company known for being the owners of Wired magazine. At the time, Reddit was sold for a reported $10 to $20 million. With the acquisition of Reddit, the team moved off to San Francisco. But for Aaron Swartz, this was where things would start to go downhill. In the month after the acquisition, Aaron began to complain about the corporate influence over Reddit. Aaron claimed, Wired has tried to make the offices look exciting by painting the walls pink, but the grey office monotony sneaks through all the same. Grey walls, grey desks, grey noise.
Ooh.
The first day I showed up here, I simply couldn't take it. By lunchtime, I'd literally locked myself in the bathroom stall and started crying. Aaron's thoughts on Reddit's takeover, along with a burning belief in free speech, meant the inevitable would happen. Aaron Swartz was fired from Reddit in January 2007, and by the year 2009, the co-founders would all go their own separate ways and begin their new lives. Aaron used the money from Reddit and his knowledge on computing to embark on political action. On September the 25th, 2010, Aaron downloaded the whole Westlaw legal database in a project with Stanford law students. The goal was to uncover the connections between the funders of legal research and the legal system itself. What Aaron found was incredibly disturbing. Aaron discovered that law professors in Stanford were receiving lobbying money from companies like ExxonMobil during oil spills, as this served as an effective route to bail themselves out of legal troubles. Aaron never released the documents, but it was reported that Aaron was going to analyze the data for evidence of corporate funding of climate change research that led to biased results. Following these actions, the FBI would begin to track Aaron's activity.
Jesus Christ, he's like Jason Bourne,
Aaron continued
but with nerdy shit.
Speech and political transparency.
And so, yeah, it's true. Sites like WikiLeaks are going to be putting up some embarrassing material about what the U.S. government does, and people are going to be organizing a protest about it and try and change their government. You know, and that's a good thing. That's what all these First Amendment rights of free expression, of freedom of association are all about. And so
I thought,
we should try and shut
I don't
those
know
down.
who's
It
on
just
the
goes against very
Reddit
basic
board anymore, but I
American
thought Aaron was a name there.
principle, I think, is one that
Is
our
he not
founding
part of
fathers would
Reddit?
have understood. If the internet had been around back then, instead of putting post offices in the Constitution, they would have put ISPs.
Well, it's definitely interesting to see.
Aaron would travel across the US, giving live talks on the importance of a free and open internet. It was through this work that Aaron was able to gain enough support to prevent the Stop Online Piracy Act.
This bill would be a huge, potentially permanent loss.
Thanks
If
for
we lost the
resubs,
ability to communicate with each other over
Zillow,
the internet,
Noodle, and Magical.
it would be a change to the Bill of Rights. The freedoms guaranteed in our Constitution, the freedoms our country had been built on, would be suddenly deleted. New technology, instead of bringing us greater freedom, would have snuffed out fundamental rights we'd always taken for granted. And I realized that day, talking to Peter, that I couldn't let that happen.
3 months after the speech, Aaron was arrested following an indictment by federal prosecutors.
Fuck!
Aaron's indictment contained charges of 50 years in prison and a $1 million fine.
What?
However, these charges were harsh for a reason. In 2012, the US government wanted to make an example of people breaking into confidential files. And with the US government's failure to extradite Julian Assange, Aaron Swartz knew he was going to face the brunt of government
Thanks to
power.
Prime Gris.
There was no way the government was letting another WikiLeaks situation happen again. Aaron knew things were bad. Very, very bad. 26-year-old Aaron Swartz was facing the prospect of living the rest of his life in a cage. Aaron had been cornered into a trap, and after 5 months of his arrest, Aaron Swartz committed suicide.
Whoa, 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 holy shit. What the fuck? Now, is it like an actual suicide, or is this like a Jeffrey Epstein kind of situation? Thanks to the resub, Rezol, and the Prime Lucky, and gift sub Aaronoff. I need to look this up. I had no fucking idea about all this. What was his name? Aaron? What was it? I forgot his last name. Schwartz. Aaron Schwartz. Okay. God, what a shame. He seemed like such a smart guy. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't really say anything about it. So he was found hanging with no suicide note, and that's as deep as that goes. Oh, actually, nope. Speaking at his son's funeral on January 15th, Robert Schwartz said Aaron was killed by the government and MIT betrayed all of its basic principles. Tom Dolan, husband of U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts Carmen Ortiz, whose office persecuted Schwartz's case, replied with criticism of the Schwartz family. Truly incredible that in their own son's obit they blame others for his death and make no mention of the 6-month offer. This comment triggered some criticism, with Charles Pierce replying, the glibness... Can we use normal fucking words? Fucking, Jesus, glibness. The glibness with which her husband and her defenders toss off a mere 6 months in federal prison, low security or not, is a further indication that something is seriously out of whack with the way our prosecutors think these days. So it seems like there is at least some people. I've never heard glibness in my life, and I know a lot of goofy words. I've never heard glibness. So it seems like there is at least some people that believe it was not an actual suicide. Thanks to the resub, Sosazilla.
Aaron's death.
Oh, you're just talking about the game? I know Fusion
The
Fall.
internet had always been free of censorship. Censorship was only really used for legal purposes to keep the internet somewhat civilized, and Reddit moderators did as they were meant to, filtering out spam, abuse, and managing small online communities. But all of this would change in 2014. You see, in the years after the co-founders left Reddit, Reddit was undergoing huge development. Reddit had tripled its page views, and in 2011, Reddit had gained 1 billion page views a month. Then in January 2012, Reddit doubled its page views again, gaining 2 billion views a month. There was no stop in sight, and by 2013, Reddit was receiving 56 billion page views and 71 billion page views in 2014. However, in 2014, Reddit took a turn for the worst, a turn that would make Reddit the model for the internet censorship we see today. Because before 2014, Reddit was getting a lot of scrutiny in the media.
Oh, I remember the jailbait controversy.
A subreddit which featured inappropriate and illegal photos of young girls. So Reddit responded to these criticisms rightly and removed the subreddit from the platform. But this media criticism was only scratching the surface.
Lizard. Thank you for that.
The next year, Reddit would be slandered for being a sexist platform. For example, the Huffington Post claimed that Reddit was sexist purely for being a male-dominated site. The claims of Reddit being sexist got so bad that co-founder Alexis pleaded Reddit users to, quote, cool it with the sexist comments.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Alexis also claimed that Reddit is defined by, quote, straight white men. The Atlantic and other magazines picked up on this, adding to the belief that Reddit was a place for sexist and straight white men. This scared Reddit stockholders and advertisers alike.
Whoa,
which is why Reddit
what
would
the
suddenly
fuck?
undergo a radical change.
Whoa, this is very interesting.
The first steps towards Reddit's change would come with Ellen Powell's appointment as CEO of Reddit. In the lead up to Powell being CEO, Powell had gained notoriety in Silicon Valley, most famously for her gender discrimination lawsuit, where she sued the venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins for what she perceived to be sexist business practices. And whilst the lawsuit was unsuccessful, the media rallied behind her as a feminist saint. She was the perfect shield for Reddit. So Reddit employed her as CEO of the company in 2014. This was the moment Reddit changed for the worst. Ellen Powell's rise to CEO created a new era of Reddit, an era Aaron Swartz had spent his life warning against, an era defined by power mode, censorship and propaganda. And it all began with Ellen Powell's announcement that Reddit was no longer a platform for free speech. The announcement came after numerous subreddits were banned by Reddit. But this time it wasn't for legal reasons, it was to escape the bad reputation Reddit was gaining from the consequences
Tier 1
of free
Lucas
speech.
and the
A complete
Obsidian
U-turn
and
of Reddit's
Cream.
original policy stated by admins just 2 months beforehand. Reddit admins actually created a blog titled "Every Man is Responsible for His Own Soul." In the blog post, Reddit admins repeatedly claimed the importance of free speech on Reddit. This is a quote from Reddit admins. "We uphold the ideal of free speech on Reddit as much as possible, not because we are legally bound to, but because we believe that you, the user, has the right to choose between right and wrong, good and evil, and that it is your responsibility to do so. When you know something is right, you should choose to do it. But as much as possible, we will not force you to do it." However, these claims were just as hollow as Reddit's moderator guidelines. And when I talk about Reddit's moderator guidelines, this is what I mean. So basically, for Ellen Power to increase Reddit's censorship, Reddit would need power mods to handle the dirty work. And so in October 2014, the first major power mod was born.
Gallo
A
Boob.
mod known as Gallo Boob.
Yeah, I fucking called it, yes!
Is
Yes!
the digital representation of Reddit's new era. Gallo Boob is a mod with over 36 million karma. He's termed a power mod for his vast control of the top subreddits, controlling huge subreddits like r oddly satisfying, r relationship advice, and r roast me. He's a power mod notorious for blocking comments critical of him. And not only comments, it got so bad that a subreddit calling out Gallo Boob's power-hungry censorship was also banned from Reddit. This was the new era of Reddit, where those criticizing the power structure would be threatened with banishment. In the words of Ellen Powell, Reddit was no longer a bastion of free speech. But again,
now
in
it's Gallo
2014,
Boob's
this was
site.
just the tip of the iceberg. You see, in theory, Reddit's moderator guidelines require volunteers not to use a breach of one set of community rules to ban a user from another community, because these guidelines were created in a time when internet censorship was looked down upon. But this was a new era, an era when even more power mods would begin to emerge, like the infamous moderator Awkward the Turtle. Awkward the Turtle.
This vid is for those who are extremely online. True.
72 subreddits.
That's
and
true.
like Gallo Boob, he's a mod notorious for silencing opinions he doesn't like. And unfortunately, these occurrences aren't anomalies either. Moderator tyranny in the last few years has gotten to an all-time high, with this model of censorship spreading across the internet like wildfire. But for now, in 2014, power mods were only just beginning to rear their ugly head. The most hated person on Reddit wasn't Gallo Boob or Awkward the Turtle.
I don't know who
Real
that one
hatred
is.
was for the CEO, Ellen Powell.
I don't know who Awkward
Reddit
the
at the
Turtle
time
is.
still cared about free speech and internet
I
censorship.
remember Shitty
Because
Watercolor.
these ideas were at the core of Reddit, and with Ellen Powell's statements and actions, Redditors disliked her deeply. The watershed moment for this hatred came when former community manager David Croach gave an Ask Me Anything about being fired from Reddit. David Croach stated that Ellen Powell dismissed him with 1 year of health coverage when he had cancer. As a result of this, a petition was made to remove Powell as CEO of Reddit. And so, on July the 10th, Ellen Powell resigned as CEO. But maybe Ellen Powell was just the instrument and not the musician, because Ellen Powell wasn't anywhere near as authoritarian as the person who would replace her. Spez.
But he helped create the site! He's its dad! Oh my god!
Spez.
Also, one thing that I find really interesting is, like, you can't really make another Reddit site now, because if you do, it just immediately becomes for racists. Like, I remember, what was it called? They tried to make a Twitter replacement, and it was called, I think it was like Geb or something, I already forgot now. But it was literally only inhabited by racist fucking weirdos. So that's the real issue here, is because they've gone so deep here, like, the only people... I don't know how to explain it, but like if you try and compete with something that's open like Reddit or Twitter, all you get is racists. So like there's nothing you can really do. You just have to fucking swallow some dog shit here. Because any competitor just immediately devolves into only for racism. It's wild. Yik Yak is another good example. I remember that got really bad. Gab, that's what it was. Yeah, Gab. There was a Reddit replacement that I'm blanking on. VidMe trying to compete with YouTube went into nothing but videos of suicide and racism. Fuck. What was the Reddit one? Was it Vote? I think it was Vote. Yeah, it's unlucky. Because you, like, now, like, you can't compete because then only racists use your site. Like, there's, like, no winning. Like, there's nothing you can really do.
Spez's reign as CEO brought about the most change to Reddit, and as you could guess, this change wasn't good. Far from it. This quickly became obvious when Spez decided to scrub Aaron Swartz's legacy on Reddit. Spez removed Aaron's position on Reddit's co-founder page and began scrubbing posts heralding Aaron Swartz's legacy. This was a move that would define Reddit's new position on free speech.
Thanks to Prime Halloween
Next,
Jack
Spez
and
would
the
introduce the
resub
quarantine,
Diagnosis
which was an effective
and
tool to silence communities that didn't break any rules. Spez would use the quarantine to discredit content that Spez didn't like. And when I say Spez would censor content that he didn't personally like, I mean it was content that Spez personally didn't like. Infamously, Spez went into Reddit's database to alter and change comments he didn't like to distort posts in the R. Donald subreddit. Of course, those in the Donald subreddit didn't take too kindly to the move, so the Donald called out Spez's direct censorship and manipulation of speech, and even created a subreddit dedicated to criticizing Spez. But to Spez, this was outrageous. How dare users enact their revenge? And so once again, Spez used his position as CEO to modify comments attacking him, changing these comments to instead criticize R. Donald mods rather than himself. But Spez couldn't do all of this on his own, and this is where Reddit moderators would become notorious for their Mickey Mouse levels of censorship. Because, as I mentioned earlier, Reddit's decline was catalyzed by the combination of power-hungry moderators and censoring Reddit administrators. On this new Reddit, it became common practice for political opinions to be banned from the site, and it wasn't just Spez editing comments, it was Reddit moderators exerting their power over all those who disagree with the status quo. Which is why saying things like this would get you removed. Because Reddit power mods love that sweet sensation of bossing people around in the most minor ways imaginable. And I could go on and on about the countless examples of moderator tyranny, but I think it can all be perfectly summed up with this post right here. And just guess what happened to this post. It was of course removed by Reddit moderators. And not only that, the user who posted it was banned from over 40 major subreddits in 40 minutes.
And you're banned. You can no longer post on wholesome puppers.
So then you may be asking, how did these mods gain so much power? Why was Aaron Swartz scrubbed from Reddit history? Why did Spez actively work to stifle the free speech of Reddit users? I mentioned earlier that these Reddit mods are like teachers' pets, with their only compensation being power. But this isn't the full story.
And it's a lot of power.
In order to run hundreds and thousands of subreddits, it takes a ridiculous amount of time that just isn't available to you if you're working or being a normal human being in society. Unless you're being paid for this time.
I remember this.
For example, has been caught several times taking money from companies to shill their products on Reddit. One of these cases was with Gallo Boob advertising for Netflix on the subreddit Hail Corporate. When people on the subreddit began to call him out on it, he would remove every single critical comment. The Gallo Boobs of Reddit are like the Cambridge Analytica for corporations. These mods have influence over millions and unrivaled power on the website. The trade-off being they do the dirty work for Reddit admins, and in return, Reddit turns a blind eye to their profiteering from advertising products. And this wasn't the only thing Reddit turned a blind eye to. I mentioned in my last video on Reddit that Reddit was being manipulated by big finance. I detailed in the video how corporations use Reddit as a tool for propaganda. But it's not only corporate propaganda, in fact Reddit has become the engine for the political censorship we see today. The most clear sign of this came with Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016, which used our politics to promote articles favourable to Hillary. And every time Redditors brought up the fact that Hillary Clinton received more money from the arms and weapons industry than any other candidate in history, these posts would be downvoted into oblivion. That's why you
What does that have to do with the
criticizing
Reddit
Black Lives
mod,
Matter
though?
being banned, whereas pro-Black Lives Matter posts gain thousands of karma. It's why showing just some of the damage done by Black Lives Matter to ordinary people is removed. It's why just upvoting some posts on the site will
this
get
seems like a
banished from
reach.
Reddit. It's why Reddit turns a blind eye to moderator abuse to keep the Reddit status quo in check. It's all to keep corporations and political interest groups happy. But nothing could define Reddit's era
Well,
of censorship any better.
this really took a turn. It's also equally possible that the people on Reddit lean one way politically more so than the other, so those posts just get upvoted naturally more, while the others get downvoted by people. That took a real big turn there. I don't think that has anything to do with the Reddit mods manipulating anything, unless the posts were removed, which he's not saying they were. Thanks to 2 gift subs, Lucky, and the resub Floppy. I mean, I'll let it ride, but now it just seems to go from, like, facts to more of, like, a bit of a reach here.
Than Reddit's submission to the Chinese government.
Thanks to resub Torchlight.
In 2019, Tencent's investment into Reddit was the final piece of the jigsaw in Reddit's censorship model. I say this because Tencent is run by the biggest censors of all, the Chinese government. The Dutch hacker Victor confirmed this by revealing millions of conversation and users' identities on Tencent were being sent to police stations across China. And just 3 days after this was revealed, the Tencent founder and chief executive had a seat in the National People's Congress. And in recent years, Tencent's activity has become more and more apparent. For example, Tencent has a 38% share in Discord, a 17% share in Snapchat, and it also has investments in game studios like Ubisoft, Activision, and a 40% share in Epic Games.
And Riot
in 2019, Tencent invested $150 million into Reddit.
Now, Reddit users are afraid that their beloved platform, known for uncensored free speech, is going to get censored to meet the demands of the Chinese Communist Party. See, Tencent has a history of censoring things the CCP doesn't like. Its Chinese platforms QQ and WeChat are both heavily censored, and they work with Chinese authorities to give them access to user data. Amnesty International did a report back in 2016 on tech companies protecting users against threats to privacy and freedom of expression. The results? Not so good for Tencent.
No.
Chinese firm Tencent came bottom, the report reads, scoring 0 out of 100, ranked as the company
That's surprising.
taking least
Oh my
action
God.
on messaging privacy and the least transparent.
Spez always claimed that Reddit would never remove content to appease Chinese investors. In fact, he even committed to never doing so. But as always the case, money speaks. Which is why viral posts stating that we need to start taking actions to stop China taking over the world would be removed. Pictures reminding people of the persecution of Uyghur Muslims would be scrubbed from mainstream subreddits. And of course, the famous pictures remembering the atrocities of Tiananmen Square are banned without any justification. Which is why on Reddit, anti-Western posts and comments are allowed, but criticizing Xi Jinping and the CCP? That's unacceptable. Or even criticizing LeBron James's sellout to China gets your posts removed from Reddit. It's very clear that Reddit has irreversibly changed. Long gone are the days of Reddit being a pioneer.
Has he even been on Reddit? What? Almost every single week there's a new thing on the front page of Reddit about some fucked up shit going on with China or something. Like the banning video games one. Like if you just type in China, it's nothing but people critical of decisions being made over there. Like just an immediate search of China. It's almost nothing but negativity. Like I don't know what this guy's talking about. Like everything up until like this point, he was speaking like some actual facts, going over like the history of what went on and what was happening, and now it's just like these weird, like, wrong statements. Like it's a huge reach. I don't get it. It used to be like that 2 years ago. Maybe it was, but I mean, this video was in 2021. Like, it's brand new. And it's not like that at all now. Like, I remember, what was the... Oh, God. Like, when the Winnie the Pooh thing was big, that was all over Reddit. And unless those posts are deleted now, I don't see what he's talking about. He hasn't used it in 2 years, probably. I guess maybe. I can't speak to exactly how it was 2 years ago, but now it's not like anything criticizing China gets banned. It gets right to the front page. Like, the hot thing to do on Reddit now is to criticize China. Damn. What a shame. This was like a really well done video, right up until like the 20-minute mark.
Of free speech. The days of Aaron Schwartz's values being at the core of Reddit have been replaced by the values of power-hungry moderators, corporations, and Chinese propaganda. But what if Reddit's fall isn't just endemic to Reddit? Reddit has been the catalyst for a wave of censorship across the internet. The model of power-hungry moderators, out-of-control tech leaders like spares and political propaganda is a model adopted by almost all social media sites.
Since 2016, the Chinese Communist Party paid $20 million to outlets like the Los Angeles Times, the Chicago Tribune, and the Washington Post. Twitter, which now operates as a publisher, also received checks from the Chinese government totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Social media companies have learned from Reddit. Reddit has shown that the backlash to censorship is only minor once you have a group of power-hungry moderators controlling the flow of information.
Oh, people beg for censorship now for some places, especially on Twitter.
Round led by Tencent brought Reddit's valuation to $3 billion, almost double Reddit's valuation just 2 years beforehand. And in 2021, Reddit's valuation is now at $6 billion. But the worst part of all is that Reddit moderators could have stopped this. They were the only people who had the power to do this. They could have shown that social media companies can't get away with the erosion of free speech. Reddit moderators showed that they had this power to change Reddit in 2015. In July of 2015, Reddit began experiencing a series of blackouts as moderators set popular subreddit communities to private. This was done in protest of the recent firing of Victoria Taylor. This Reddit moderator blackout ended up being highly successful and was one of the main reasons why Ellen Pao stepped down as CEO. So if moderators could do it back then, why not now? Well, because it doesn't fit into their tribe. It goes against the grain of their ideology. They don't want to be labelled controversial or conservative or lose any of that lucrative money shilling products from Reddit grants them. Instead, the moderators of Reddit are compliant to censor anti-China posts in exchange for power and money. This model of censorship
Censor
has made
anti-China
Reddit bank.
posts.
This is why you see censorship everywhere on the internet. It's an incredibly lucrative business practice. To receive Chinese funding means you could double your company's valuation in a ridiculously short time frame. The only cost this comes with is the fabric of Western civilization.
Whoa, what the fuck? Man, if this guy just stopped at the 20-minute history lesson of Reddit, which was super interesting, it would have been great. And then maybe just save this for something else. Like, what anti-China posts are getting censored? The front page of Reddit is constantly just critical of China. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. Next to the bits Ragnaration. Damn. Like, Reddit is probably one of the most anti-China places I can think of off the top of my head. It's talking about Aaron, which makes sense, because, like, the first 20 minutes were great. I was super drawn in. It's not fair to love part of it, and then when it gets controversial, just to discredit that part. It's not controversial, it's just blatantly wrong. Like, 20 minutes were spent going over actual facts. Like, the history of Reddit, who formed it, Aaron, what happened with Aaron. And that was super interesting. And now it's like this weird reach about how Reddit is all sucking China's cock. But the entire front page of Reddit is always anti-China posts. I hate Reddit as much as the next guy, and I was super down to see, like, more things to not like about Reddit, but, like, this is just, like, wrong. Again, I'll just, again, do another search on Reddit for China, and it is nothing but negative posts about China with thousands upon thousands of updates. It is not, like, censoring China posts that I've seen. Like, this is just an immediate search of China from just I haven't touched anything, and it is nothing but critical of China. It has nothing to do with being controversial. It's just wrong. You don't know what isn't there, though? Yeah, but he's saying that he takes down, the Reddit mods take down any post critical of China. And if that's true, they're doing a horrible job, because this is all from the last week, it seems. Thanks to Prime, JDF cool. It's just news. Right, bad news about China. That's what he's talking about, right? Another thing he mentioned was Tiananmen Square. Let me see. Oh, hold on. I need to make sure that there's nothing bad that comes up. I feel like I'd get banned on Twitch if there's something not good here. Let's see. Yep, here. This should be fine, I think. I don't see anything, like, bad. And then scrolling down, there's a couple pictures of it, but I'm not going to take a risk on Twitch. This is just the first search. So it doesn't seem like they're doing a good job, considering this one has 121,000 updates. This one has 62,000 updates. Did I spell it wrong? Did I? Oh, I did. Yeah, here. Same thing. Like, it's not like any of this shit's deleted. So, I mean, it's just like he's just like actually wrong. Reddit still fucking sucks, but I don't understand what point he's making by just presenting something that you can immediately disprove by just typing it in on Reddit. Which ones are negative again? He said that you can't even look... What did he say about Tiananmen Square? That it immediately gets deleted when talking about it?
Ideology. They don't want to be labeled controversial or conservative or lose any of that lucrative money shilling products from Reddit grants them. Instead, the moderators of Reddit are compliant to censor anti-China posts in exchange for power and money. This model of censorship has made Reddit bank. This is why you see censorship everywhere on the internet. It's an incredibly lucrative business practice. To receive Chinese funding means you could double your company's valuation in a ridiculously short time frame. The only cost this comes with is the fabric of Western civilization.
That's the beauty of America, that you can be different. Right. You can be an individual, but now you cannot be an individual, and that's what North Korea did. YouTube is that I talk about women getting sold in China. And those
tier 1 Stormborn.
Because, I mean, it's somehow doesn't meet the YouTube guideline.
Yeah.
And they letting North Korean regime have their propaganda channel on YouTube. So they give a platform to dictatorship. But they do not want to give a platform to the people who is fighting this human rights justice fight.
Reddit has been at the core of this censoring trend. Reddit has shown how easy it is to get moderators.
Reddit censors the fuck out of things.
Reddit has shown how easy it is for users to accept censorship by controlling the narrative.
I would certainly not say that it's a bastion for sucking China's dick.
And censorship has given the go-ahead for all the other tech giants to censor. And people passively accept this because when all dissent is silenced, you feel alienated. As if your voice doesn't have any support, because you never see and connect with all those who don't want to see the erosion of a free and open internet. And Reddit moderators could have acted as the final buffer. They could have been the final force to stop the censoring trend. But instead, they turn their back on free speech and the country for greed and power. This behavior is anti-Western to the core. Throughout history, the default style of governance has always been dictatorship. And to be in power, you have to be ruthless. You have to punish your enemy in the public eye. You have to censor speech that doesn't go along with the government projection. Every king and emperor did the same thing until the United States. The United States, a country which understood the importance of freedom of speech. The Founding Fathers knew this because they understood human nature. They understand what had happened in the past when free speech was stifled.
This is starting to sound like a manifesto.
But now we see the people who are willing to give all of that up for power and greed. This is what makes the fall of Reddit so frustrating. Reddit had the potential to be one of the greatest social media platforms of all time. Reddit had the power to change the way we look at society. Reddit could have opened so many doors for interesting discussion unconfined to conventional expectations. It could have opened the door for so many others who didn't fit inside the mold of mainstream culture.
Jesus
Instead,
Christ!
Reddit turned its back on this potential, simply because Reddit let go of its founding core free speech. And now a decade later after Aaron Swartz's death, and it's as though Aaron's work never existed. Reddit was the only social media site that could have actually paved the way for a free and open internet. Moderators could have held Reddit admins accountable to the community and the principles of free speech, and when you remember that Reddit was a key reason for abolishing the Stop Online Piracy Act, it makes Reddit's demise seem like that much more of a missed opportunity. And in a cruel twist of fate, Reddit's decline into censorship has breathed life into a new era defined by censorship. The media, celebrities,
Exit Prime Blancho?
Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all of them have transitioned into adopting Reddit's model of censorship. When Reddit abandoned free speech to start censoring people who didn't fit into the mainstream narrative and government propaganda, it represented the real-world transition into the control of information. The cogs behind Reddit's censorship needs to be called out. In the words of Aaron Swartz, when people put their thumbs on the scale and try to say what you can and can't say, we should fight back, both politically through protest and technologically through online means.
So yeah, it's true. Both the government and private companies can censor stuff. But private companies are a little bit scarier because they have no constitution to answer to. They're not elected, really, right? They don't have constituents or voters. All of the protections we've built up to protect against government tyranny don't exist for corporate tyranny in these privately owned spaces that we live in. You know, I think we first saw this in the 90s with malls, right? As malls became a cool place for kids to hang out.
Malls were pretty
All
fucking
those
cool.
freedoms that we had against the government, we lost in the mall because the mall was a private company that could throw people out for saying the wrong thing or wearing the wrong shirt.
What?
Now, Facebook has kind of become the mall. It's where everyone hangs out. And so the private company that owns Facebook can tell you, oh, don't use those kinds of words, don't use those sorts of pictures, don't talk with those people. All of these constitutional rights that we take for granted are now run by a private company that doesn't have to answer to the
Sharp Shot and
Constitution.
Breadist in the Prime Juice. Yeah, that took a real wild turn at the end there. Well, it was cool for a little bit though. I at least wanted to finish it to see where it went. Facebook is the bastion for all kinds of dumb, stupid fucking beliefs. That's where like everything spawns from. Facebook is like the ideal place if you're like a weird conspiracy theorist. This guy just doesn't like China. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it, but I don't understand why he thinks Reddit is pro-China. Like, it's not. Like, if he just went on there, like, any day of the week, he would see multiple top front page posts about something that Reddit didn't like that China did. So I don't really understand where it's even coming from. And he said that you can't find the Tiananmen Square anywhere on there, but like just a single search and you have tons and tons of posts talking about it and remembering it and going over the history of it. And then all the Hong Kong protests, that was always on the front page of Reddit. So I just don't know what he's fucking talking about. Hong Kong protests were literally dominating the front page of Reddit for a long, long, long time, and it wasn't even close. So I feel like he's just very, very off. Or he hasn't been on Reddit in a really long time. Yeah, the Hong Kong protests had tons of traction on Reddit. Thanks to resub, Danny. And doing alright, Kay. A lot are removed, but usually only when the same exact thing gets posted a million times at once. I could believe that. I see that shit in the comments all the fucking time. There's like sometimes there'll be people whining in my comments that I deleted something they said, when I've never deleted a comment in my fucking life. It's because I kept spamming it and then it auto-detected and deleted their comment, because they're dumb. I mean, maybe that happens on Reddit. I don't know. I don't like Reddit. I don't use Reddit very much. But, like, even I know that that was just super wrong. Because when I do go on there, the front page is literally everything he said it's not. Well, in regards to China. There's obviously a lot of censorship on Reddit in general, though. Let's see.
I could comb away my troubles, but all I have is...
Thanks to the 5 gift subs, Gorgasmic, and resub E-Man. Thank you, Gorgasmic. There's a lot of other things that happened, too. Well, no one hung themselves on the set of Wizard of Oz. It's a myth.
and clog the drains of showers. If I only had some hair.
Thanks to the Prime Jackie Boy and gift sub Moff. That's super sweet, Ski Master. Sounds good. Thanks to the Prime.
The National Weather Service
Cap.
has issued a downward spiral warning in your area. Please remain calm. Do not attempt to flee or seek shelter. Resistance is futile.
Wow. Thanks to the 5 gift subs, Biles. Appreciate it. Biles.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
I have a feeling we're not in Florida anymore.
I am Dr. Spiral, the great and powerful. Welcome to Green Screen City.
God damn, going in hot.
Hey, I've seen you before. You look just like that man behind the curtain.
Watch Tea Time? What the fuck is
Pay
Tea
no
Time?
attention to the man behind the curtain. You were brought here because you wished for your hair back.
Thanks to Prime Wilson and gift sub Glorified.
Are you really doing this?
This is an ad?
Were the 4
Oh
other times
shit.
Not enough?
You're doomed to lose all the rest of your hair. Years later,
Alright,
most of you
I
watching
see.
know exactly who these characters are. Far less known, however, are the people behind these characters. Principal photography for the
I
Wizard
watched
of
most
Oz
of the
lasted
ad.
from
I did my
October
part.
1938 to March 1939. During these 5 months, the stars of the movie were subject to some of the most horrendous conditions in the history of the American film industry.
There's the resub Mord
When it was all
and the
said
Prime
and done,
Kako and
not a
gift sub
single
Jack.
character who set off down the yellow brick road left the land of Oz unscathed.
Despite the drought, even hotter than England, rural America is in a desperate plight.
That's not to say that things were much better back home in Kansas. The 1930s were a period of major turmoil and hardship for the American public. The Great Depression ravaged almost every sector of the economy.
Yeah,
While
that'll
most
do it.
American industries were struggling, the film industry was booming. To escape from the dread of everyday life, most Americans sought refuge in the cinema. Nowadays, about
How did they
1 in
pay
10
for the cinema
Americans have gone to
experience,
the
though?
movies in the past week. In the 30s,
I imagine it couldn't have been
was
super
not
cheap.
uncommon for half of all Americans to pay a weekly visit to the theater. Hollywood was in the midst of its golden
Thanks to the
age,
resub
a
Precipice and
period
Tier
where
1 Cody.
studios had unparalleled influence over the industry. During this time, the top 8 studios controlled 95% of American cinema.
Maybe Camino.
And no studio was more illustrious than MGM.
Rest in peace, MGM.
They were the studio widely considered to provide audiences with the biggest stars and the grandest spectacle. MGM smoked the rest of Hollywood with its unmatched financial and critical success.
I've already seen Operation Soda
Across
Steel.
The 30s, MGM films accounted for nearly a third of the nominees for Best Picture, and nearly 3/4 of the total.
What happened to
profits
MGM? They
generated
suck.
by all 8 major
Well, actually, they
studios.
just got bought, didn't they?
MGM's dominance over Hollywood was due
All
in
they have
large
is
part to
James
the
Bond
strong
now,
leadership
and
of
Tom
its
and
chief
Jerry.
executive, Louis B. Mayer, who in 1937 was the highest paid man in America. 1937 also saw the release of one of the most groundbreaking films ever made, and
There's
one
a
of the
Tier
most
1 Blaze
successful
and resub
films of the
Villain
time
Views
to
and
not
PJ.
come out of the MGM system. That year, Walt Disney would release
Woo!
his first animated feature film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The film was an immersive fantasy unlike anything audiences had ever seen, and by the following year had become the highest-grossing film to date. Snow White's record-breaking success inspired
There's a
MGM
Mr.
to
Fisher.
produce a spectacular fantasy of their own. In 1938, the studio bought out the rights to L. Frank Baum's popular children's novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and the rest
I had
was
no idea
history.
it was based on a book.
History that some members of the cast and crew wish they could forget. Unlike Snow White, The Wizard of Oz was entirely live action, which presented a series of challenges while
Jesus
attempting
Christ,
to
Justin.
transform fantasy
Thanks
into
for some
reality.
Baconator.
One of the most iconic scenes in all of cinema
Holy
is Dorothy
shit,
waking
thank you.
up in the land of of Oz and the
God
film
damn, man.
transitioning from sepia to color.
Must be a big Wizard of Oz
The
fan, hey?
visual coloring method used to develop the film was Technicolor, which required heavy exposure due to the process of splitting the image into
Thank you,
different
Justin.
color channels. As a result, the Oz set required an exorbitant amount of lighting, so much so that the temperature on stage often surpassed 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's a
The
literal
heat was
normal
suffocating,
afternoon in
and
Florida.
stagehands frequently had to be carried off stage after fainting. The set lighting was so intense that some actors even claimed to suffer permanent vision damage. The exhaustion suffered from the oppressive heat was
What?
only magnified by the arduous production schedule. For 6 days a week, the actors walked into the studio at 4 a.m. and didn't leave until 7 p.m. A significant part of each actor's day was dedicated to the meticulous preparation and removal of their costumes. The Scarecrow...
I don't understand how...
Cowardly
Well,
Lion
I
are
guess
one
I
of
could
the
see
most
it
recognizable
with the vision
trios in
loss.
fiction. All three characters were brought to life by the skilled design of makeup artist Jack Dawn.
Thanks to
While
you
the
some Tree Nut,
costumes
Rex,
presented an
Trooper, Kit Kat,
impeccable
and the Prime
external
Manx.
appearance, conditions
William.
weren't so pleasant on the inside. Every morning as the Scarecrow, Ray Bolger would have to spend an hour getting his latex and plastic mask painstakingly glued to his face, and every evening he would spend an hour getting it removed. The mask completely covered his facial pores.
To be fair, that's
Being
not
unable
that
to
bad.
sweat while wearing it. One could only
A lot of
imagine how it
actors
must
spend
have
like
felt
7
to wear
hours
that
in
thing
their
for
shit,
15
or
hours a
putting it
day.
on.
But Ray Bolger didn't have to imagine. For 22 weeks, it was his reality.
It could be worse.
By the time filming was complete, the repeated applications of the mask left Bolger with permanent grooves around his mouth and chin.
Holy
but
shit.
considering what happened to some of the other actors, he may have gotten off easy. The Tin Man was played by Buddy Ebsen for about 9 days. That's how long he lasted during filming until he was hospitalized from a severe reaction to the Tin Man's metallic makeup. Ebsen's silver...
Did they just
face
actually
was made
spray
out of
paint him?
Aluminum powder that would eventually coat the inside of his lungs.
Oh my
completely
God.
asphyxiating him. As Ebsen
What?
sat bedridden under an oxygen tent in the hospital, the studio could not have given him less sympathy. Producer Mervyn LeRoy...
Yeah, get stronger
refused to leave the
lungs,
hospital,
nerd.
angrily insisting that Ebsen return to the set. After 2 weeks out of action, the studio replaced Ebsen with Jack Haley. Much like Pete Best getting cut from the Beatles, Buddy Ebsen would end up becoming one of the unluckiest men in show business. Not only was he unceremoniously
Makes it 3 gifts up
fired
Swift
from
Light.
what would have been the biggest role of his career, the incident left him with chronic bronchitis. Jack Haley managed to avoid a catastrophic reaction to the aluminum makeup, but it still gave him a severe eye infection that forced him out of work for days. The rest
Why
of the
not just
suit was
switch
so
the
stiff
like
that
from
it rendered
aluminum
Haley
powder to
unable
like
sit down or lie down
crayons
while filming.
or something? I
In
don't know.
order to
Fucking
rest
melt
in
crayons
between
on his
takes,
face.
He was forced to lean on a reclining board. But despite all the complications it caused, the Tin Man costume may have still been preferable to that of the Cowardly Lion.
Makes me
Burt
said
Lahr's
Hypno
lion suit was compared
and
to
Death.
carrying around a mattress.
The Prime
The bulk of
Glarfield.
the costume consisted of a 60-pound lion hide, a real lion hide. Combined with additional padding, some estimates put the weight of the full costume at 100 pounds. Burt Lahr would be
God, he's like a real-life Rock
for just
Lee.
a few minutes, and he would frequently have
What?
to take off the suit between shots to avoid exhaustion. The prosthetic mask covering his face didn't allow him to fully open his mouth, forcing him to consume all of his on-set meals through a straw. Halfway through production, Lahr gave in and sacrificed an additional hour each day in the makeup chair so that he could eat solid food at lunch. As someone who was known by his peers to be a hypochondriac, Burt Lahr was in near constant agony. But by far the worst costume-related accident during the whole shoot happened to Margaret Hamilton, better known as the Wicked Witch.
How?
Nowadays, there are
That
lots
seems
of
so
ways to make
simple.
someone look green, but in
Did they
1938,
put-
the only
oh.
tried-and-true method used by Hollywood makeup artists was copper paint. Copper, of course,
Wow.
is toxic when ingested by humans. This was known back then, but the studio showed no restraint in applying the copper concoction directly to Hamilton's face and hands. Towards the end of production, Hamilton realized that the constant application of the witch's makeup had tinted her skin green, an effect that lingered for months after the job. Wearing the makeup
Holy
on set
shit.
was a constant struggle. Once it was on, Hamilton was unable to touch anything without staining it, and required assistance to perform the most basic of tasks.
Thanks to
But the
Resub,
day-to-day
Kaji,
struggles of
and
the makeup
Benji,
would
and
pale in
Wicked, and
comparison
Holmes,
to the
and
accident
Soup.
she suffered on December 23, 1938. When departing Munchkinland, Hamilton was scripted to exit the scene in a fiery cloud of smoke. The first attempt at the stunt went flawlessly, but director Victor Fleming wanted to get a few extra takes for insurance. On the fourth attempt, the pyrotechnics were ignited too early.
Oh, they
Hamilton to be
incinerated
engulfed in
her.
Flames. The accident resulted in second-degree burns on the whole right side of her face. The skin on her right hand was entirely scalded off. But before Hamilton could even receive medical attention,
Whoa.
she had to slowly and excruciatingly have the copper makeup removed from her freshly burned skin with rubbing alcohol. Margaret Hamilton would spend the next 6 weeks in the hospital before returning to the set.
Holy
On
shit.
her very first day back, she was scheduled for the skywriting scene. Another stunt.
Oh, goddamn, Justin.
Pyrotechnics.
Thanks for some Lysol.
Hamilton adamantly refused to put herself anywhere near fire again and threatened to walk out of the production
Thank
right
you
then
so
and
much,
there.
Justin.
Since the project was nearing completion at that point, the studio acquiesced, and the scene was completed using Hamilton's stunt double, Betty Danko. While filming that very scene, the smoke pipe underneath the broomstick exploded, and Danko was violently flung from the installation. The explosion was caused by the special effects crew coating the pipe with asbestos, another toxic substance.
No, that's the science isn't there yet. We don't know if that's actually dangerous.
Bulger's scarecrow suit, as well as the snow in the poppy field scene.
Unusual weather.
Oh my god, they use asbestos
Betty
there?
Danko was hospitalized for 11 days with field scene.
All of this is asbestos? How cheap was it? I feel like it'd be cheaper just to, like, I don't know, like, sprinkle fucking sugar or something. How fucking cheap was asbestos back then? I'm gonna look that up myself. This was 1937, right? So let's just look up 1930 asbestos price. Like, they had to just be giving this shit away for free or something. Thanks to the resub sub and the Prime Frosty Tooth Fairy and the 2 gift subs Red Dragon. 5 cents for 100 pounds. Yeah, that actually seems about right. There's not really like an estimate here, but it just, all these sources keep confirming that it's like the cheapest thing at that entire area. That's fucking crazy.
Unusual weather we're having, ain't it?
Betty Danko was hospitalized for 11 days with internal damage from the explosion, as well as a 2-inch deep gash on her leg, a wound that would never fully heal. It was a hefty toll for a gig in which she earned just over $800.
Oh, that's big money, though.
Health effects on Margaret Hamilton were far less known. What is known is that she would go on to develop Alzheimer's later in her life, a condition that has been linked to copper poisoning.
Thanks to resub Burial, Ligmo, Revenge, and Tier 1
total,
Lil
6
Lizard.
performers on The Wizard of Oz faced some kind of serious physical trauma. Not even Toto left the set intact. However, after enough time had passed, many of the actors could look back on the whole ordeal as a bunch of amusing war stories. Most physical ailments are only temporary. Mental ailments, on the other hand, tend to stick with you for life. And out of everyone in the Land of Oz, perhaps none suffered a worse fate than the star of the show, Judy Garland. She was without a doubt one of the most talented performers of the 20th century. Her portrayal of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz
Monster
has
and
served as an
Airbird.
enduring symbol of youth and innocence. And even though she was never imprisoned by a brutal costume like the other actors, the studio paid no less scrutiny to her appearance. Since the character of Dorothy was envisioned as a prepubescent girl, the then 17-year-old Garland had to constantly wear a tight corset to hide her more mature figure. But that was merely one aspect of the studio's efforts to keep Judy thin. Garland was placed on a shoestring diet, one that would not provide her with enough energy to complete the arduous filming days. To compensate, the studio kept Garland on a steady intake of amphetamines to keep her working long into the day.
Oh.
The amphetamines subsequently necessitated the use of barbiturates to prevent Garland from exhausting herself.
Wow.
Years later, she claimed that during some periods she would only sleep 4 hours every 3 days. The fact that she was able to perform as well
That's
as she
efficiency.
did under these conditions is nothing short of astonishing. By the end of production, Garland was addicted to both drugs, an addiction that would last for the rest of her life. It certainly didn't help that her time as a child star directly contributed to deep-rooted psychological problems. Despite her brilliance as a performer, Garland was
Tier
always
1
encumbered by
MMO
major
Live
esteem
and Tier
issues.
1 Max.
The insecurities
The Prime
began
Chrism.
when a 14-year-old Garland overheard the MGM executives referring to her as a fat little pig. This moment completely devastated her self-image and
Jesus
manifested
Christ.
itself as an unobtainable standard of perfection that she spent her whole life chasing. And even though she would wind up becoming one of the greatest performers ever, in her mind it was never good enough. In many ways, Judy Garland was the first tragic child star, an archetype that has sadly become much more common in modern times. Clinical psychiatrist John Linden encountered many such patients.
Yeah, if you hate
practicing
your
in the
kid,
Los
you
Angeles
get them in a
area.
movie.
He observed that premature stardom
I can't think of
resulted in
any
many
child star
actors
that
forming
has
severe
become
identity
normal or had a
issues.
good
They
life.
tended to report a feeling of profound emptiness when they weren't performing, as if they were marionettes whose true selves lacked any sort of meaning. The reason so many young stars end up on the downward
Disney
spiral
actors?
is that many fail to develop any sense of individual identity.
Disney
Some
actors?
attempt to fill this void
Like
with
who?
sex, drugs, and alcohol, but it's often no match for the constant anxiety of never really understanding who you are. There exists a tragic
Hillary
irony
Duff.
between
Yeah,
Judy
true.
Garland and Dorothy, a character who wanted nothing more than to find joy and comfort
Thanks,
in a
Risa,
wayward
Mysterious
world.
Maid, Zombified, and
Unlike
Olivia.
Dorothy, however, Judy Garland never made it over the rainbow. On June 22nd, 1969, Judy Garland was found dead of an overdose on her bathroom floor. She was just 47 years old.
Goddamn.
In the years leading up to her death, her increasingly erratic downfall was treated by the media as some sort of morbid spectacle. The American public seemed unable to reconcile how she could have possibly been anyone other than the innocent farm girl from Kansas. Hollywood has the remarkable ability to make the wildest
Here's
parts
some
of our
merch house.
imagination come to life. But the magic of crafting immersive fantasies comes with a very real dark side. Oftentimes it's easy for studios to lose sight of the real-life human beings at their disposal, and to end up treating them as, well, marionettes. It would be easy
I mean,
to
yeah,
look
that's
back
Hollywood.
at all the trauma from The Wizard of Oz and chalk it up to a product of its time. Back then, studios could just get away with all of it because if any actor fought back, they would be blacklisted from the industry. But still, even after the studio's iron grip over the industry was broken and actors gained more leverage over their careers, it would be naive to suggest that much has changed in Hollywood. The inner workings of the film industry
Harvey
have always been an
Weinstein.
enigma. The
Is
history
he in
of
jail yet?
Hollywood is smeared with talented people guilty of terrible things. Very rarely do we ever get to discover what truly goes on behind the big
He
green
is?
curtain. Out of every
That's good.
scandal that does come to light, we can only imagine what remains.
Well,
in the
Bill
dark.
Cosby's an
In
innocent
the
man.
business of telling
He's
the
back
biggest
on the
stories
streets, baby.
possible, the smaller stories
He's an
often
innocent
get left
guy.
behind.
He shouldn't be in
For
here.
22 weeks in 1938 and 1939, 6 of Hollywood's most talented actors were practically tortured, with many of them experiencing long-lasting and permanent damage to their bodies and minds. The result was one of the single greatest artistic works of the 20th century. The Wizard of Oz
I never
was
liked
the
that movie.
defining career achievement for every single person
Not even
who
as a
worked
kid.
on it. Their suffering had directly contributed to the most beloved film of a generation. It's tempting to dismiss everything you've heard today as an exploitative cash grab from greedy media tyrants, but for MGM, it was never that simple. In 1939, MGM released 41 films in total, premiering a new
Whoa.
movie once every 9 days on average.
What the
At
fuck?
this time, the studio had no shortage of revenue. What they
That's
coveted
crazy.
instead was prestige. Every year, MGM would earmark one production as their prestige film, a project that was never intended to turn a profit,
Thanks
but
for some
one that
wavy,
existed for the simple
spectacular, and
purpose of
fine,
flexing the
canny,
cinematic
Dark
might of the
Angel,
studio.
and Ludwig Reinhardt.
From its very conception, The Wizard of Oz was designed as a monument to the single most dominant empire in the history of the film industry. 35 years after the film's release, toy executive Marty Abrams was conducting market research on local children and found that 80% recognized the characters of Oz. Today, memorabilia attached to these characters now sell for millions at auction. Over the years, the performers who brought these characters to life have gradually faded from public memory, their sacrifices ultimately forgotten. Dorothy, Scarecrow, Tin Man, Cowardly Lion, and the Wicked Witch have managed to outlive them. Such is the ultimate
Thanks to
destiny of
resub
people in show
Noob and
business.
Noir.
Actors are tragically temporary. Eventually, only the characters remain. Today, it may seem unfathomable that our most popular and celebrated actors will inevitably meet the same fate. But at the end of the day, it is art, not the artist, which stands the test of time. Despite the turmoil suffered by the actors on the set of Oz,
That's pretty
one has to
powerful.
wonder
Not
if
wrong.
any of them ever regretted it.
Yeah, I think pretty much all of them, I would think, right? I mean, I guess the one that got it the easiest was the lion. What was his name again? Case in point, I have no idea who the fuck he is, but yeah, the lion seems to have got it easiest. His was more of just like an endurance test. The others were actually poisoned. Frank Bon. Oh no. Is it Frank Bon? Brett Lahr. He was the lion. I just typed in Brett Lahr regret, and I didn't get any results. Thus, he didn't regret it. Man was happy. Since nothing came up, it means he must have loved it. See, what did I tell you?
Ago, the ancient Egyptians completed the Great Pyramid of Giza, a structure so remarkably ambitious that it would stand as the tallest building on Earth.
He's a tier 1 lonely gamer.
For millennia, archaeologists found it inconceivable that it could have been constructed by any other means than a massive workforce of slave labor. The pyramid defied our expectations to such an extent that some people believe it had to have resulted from supernatural or extraterrestrial influence. However, recent archaeological studies have uncovered a truth that is somehow even more unbelievable. The vast majority of people who built the Great Pyramid were volunteers. The ancient Egyptians risked life and limb to participate in something greater than themselves. Their reward for 20 years of deadly backbreaking labor is that we still talk about them today, long after everything they knew and loved ceased to exist. What would you be willing to sacrifice if it meant you could live forever? Since the dawn of civilization, mankind has sought the secret to immortality.
Lice and the Prime Funk.
If science or religion will ever help us achieve eternal life, but at the very least, art can get us pretty damn close.
Nice. Well, I had no idea it was like that. It was pretty fucking intense. Watch Failure of Reddit Island. Never even heard of that. A group of Redditors come together to buy an island? This is a real story? Thanks to Tier 1 Jeff and Prime Darth Resin, the resub Tartarus and consume bees.
Imagine yourself in paradise. Picture the beautiful beaches, the crystal clear waters,
fucking outside,
breeze on your
so
face.
dumb.
You open up your phone. You upvote the first chonker meme you see. Life is perfect. All of this could be possible. With your help, we can create a paradise with no TikTokers, no Instagrammers, and monuments to both Keanu Reeves and Elon Musk.
Amen.
A society
Sign me up.
of only Redditors. Welcome to Reddit Island.
And we use Dogecoin.
This was an actual thing they tried to make happen. Believe it or not, the concept of a Reddit island has been out there for quite a while now. The idea revolves around getting a bunch of Redditors together, gathering a bunch of money, and buying a private island to call your own. If you disregard building infrastructure, having an economy, and having a gender ratio of 99 men to 1 woman, a Reddit island might be possible. Now, there are 2 separate cases of this attempting to happen. One that was started all the way back in 2010, and one that was started in 2021. For the sake of this video, we're going to be focusing on the newest one, as the 2010 island project was a bit unremarkable. It didn't really go anywhere, and nothing came of it, apart from the abandoned subreddit, which exists as kind of a time capsule to old Reddit, if you will. Oh, and a Gawker article dating back to 2012, in which the author of this piece states, there are few places on Earth I could imagine wanting to spend time less than a remote island populated solely by hundreds of hardcore users of the social news site Reddit. I didn't think I would ever say this, but Gawker kind of hit the nail on the head.
It's kind of fucked.
The subreddit was mostly concerned
They're just
with
like us,
actual
but smarter.
issues and the practicality of the idea. Spoiler alert, something you won't see in the new one. The 2010 Reddit island, likely due to a lack of direction, leadership, and organization, was abandoned in 2016, likely around the time they realized that this wasn't as easy as they thought it would be. Some of the obvious issues in regards to buying a private island in which you want to build a community on are economy.
Okay, here's a $10 bill. This is garbage.
Infrastructure and opportunity. What the new Reddit island could do is take one of two paths. Learn from the mistakes and actually try to make this work, or say fuck it and dive balls first into building a society with no plan. I'm sure you can guess which path they took. Saying it didn't go well would be like saying a tsunami is just a splash of water. A complete understatement. The earliest traces of this new island plan.
How could it go bad though? It just doesn't happen. It doesn't work. Unless they started paying for it.
A photo was posted by user Mr. No Name is here on April 30th. The message was communicated via a Spider-Man presentation meme and stated the following. If Redditors wanted they would join together and buy an island for the meme. The top comment on this post points out that Reddit islands already exist and are in fact a US territory. However, they fail to mention the islands that aren't US territories, which would be perfect for a Reddit island. Regardless, that didn't stop the upvotes and Reddit gold from coming
Big up dudes, baby!
The GME fiasco, maybe one could say these Redditors were being cocky. And you'd be right to say so. Soon after, a subreddit was created with the name r/Reddit_island, not to be confused with the old one, r/Reddit Island. What followed was essentially a propaganda campaign to get people to flock to the subreddit, and it kind of worked. The subreddit as of now has over 24,000 members, but there was a big problem. And it wasn't whether to buy a town or an island. It was, where do we go from here? We have all these bad memes and Redditors, but no direction. People started spitballing some ideas on where they could go. One suggested that Elon Musk should fund the island because he's a billionaire who uses Reddit.
What in the That sounds like every fucking person on Twitter.
Memes. It seemed like this idea was a shot in the dark until...
Elon is literally the savior for some people.
The official Elon Musk Reddit account messaged one of the mods and wants to chat. Oh my god. This could actually happen. So while they attempted to secure funding via Elon, like every startup crypto on Twitter, the other Redditors got to work on where to go. Somebody suggests that they move to the Pitcairn Islands, a British protectorate of islands known for... Oh dear.
Oh
anyway,
no!
Islands have a protectorate.
Who told them about the Pitcairn Islands? We talked about this on the podcast for years. This is an island of pedophiles. This is the island we always talk about. Which one of you fucking leaked that? It's an island that literally only has 50 people and I think 40 are pedophiles. So if you have like a big enough group, like maybe just like 10 dudes, you could easily take them down. And a lot of them are really old. Oh, their plan isn't bad. The Pitcairn Islands, like that is ripe for the taking. That is an easy overthrow. Damn.
The Pitcairn Islands, a British protectorate of islands known for... Oh dear. Anyway, the Pitcairn Islands have a population of only 47. So if the Redditors were to move there, they could simply outvote the population and claim it as their own.
They literally stole our plan!
Picture of Jim from the office
with less violence, I think.
Fucking whiteboard was the most upvoted post on the subreddit in regards to moving anyway. Side note, how are these stupid presentation board memes even considered memes? They're not funny, there's no joke. What's the point? You just type it out at once. All it does is make you look like a smug. This seemed foolproof, right? Wrong. Two big problems with this idea. One, you'd need to obtain some sort of citizenship to vote. You can't just walk into some place and outvote the population, or else we'd all be speaking Mandarin. And if you were to somehow take over the island, Pitcairn Island is a territory of the UK, and I'm sure they'd have something to say about that. Two, the Pitcairn Islands are in the middle of fucking nowhere, with conditions less than ideal for living life. It's also inaccessible by plane, so you'd likely need a private boat with a skilled crew to even get there. Although from this footage it looks nice, most of it's uninhabitable. It looks like it's ripped straight from Far Cry 3 actually, now that I think about it. Imagine if Reddit Island turned into Far Cry 3. The good ending. The Pitcairn Islands seemed to be the popular choice, even if it didn't make sense.
Get Mr. Beast involved.
Geographically, you get the goddamn point.
Fucking losers.
Though, even with all the brainstorming,
we can't do it. Let's just ask Elon or Mr. Beast to do it for us. We deserve it.
Until one day. One glorious day, somebody under the name Island Owner Alt claimed they had inherited a private island from their grandfather, who bought it 40 years ago, and he wanted to expand it. He made a simple offer. If the Redditors could give him the money to cover the construction,
oh my god, they did!
He would make this island an island of Redditors. The mods saw this post and the popularity it got and gave him money.
They got fucking scammed!
We sold them on his pitch. He now has the mod approval, and we all know Reddit mods are never total idiots. To many, this looked somewhat legit now that it had an actual sense of organization. They dubbed this guy the Messiah.
Classic Reddit.
A little later in the day, Island Owner Alt makes another now deleted post claiming that this is possible, but they need funding. So if they donate to him, this can become a reality. Also, if they donate to his PayPal, they'll have their Reddit usernames engraved onto a plaque. Remember, they still have that Elon contact, so he can just reimburse them. What could possibly go wrong? Even after all
this is incredible.
Some people were skeptical, like this rational person, I mean hater, but fear not. Island Owner Alt was here to provide proof for the skeptics who dare question the Messiah. He was going to prove the doubters wrong, and all the people who donated to him right. He showed where the island is, right here off the main island in Cuba. He provided pictures from the island, and a reverse image search shows these pictures were not taken from Google Images. And just in case you still had any doubts, he showed the deed to the island, which his grandfather had passed down to him. 100% proof that this is real. Holy shit. Let's send in all the money. But hold on. While you're doing that, I just want to talk about some stuff here. There are some issues. These pictures can be found on Google Maps if you go to said island. Okay,
I can't believe it.
The deed, right? I'm still getting my name on the plaque, right? Well, take a look at this deed. Notice anything off about it?
No, it looks good.
The title is in Spanish, but the text is all in English. That's odd for a document from the Cuban government, a country where they only have one national language, Spanish. Doesn't seem very official. Speaking of official, the document has no government seal or stamp on it either. Also, the latitude and longitude coordinates from the deed and the picture he showed don't match up. This guy also claimed that his grandpa bought the private island in Cuba around 40 years ago, but Cuba is a communist country, meaning that there is no private land ownership. Private property wasn't allowed in Cuba until 2018, meaning either his grandpa had some sort of in with the government, or the jigsaw is falling into place. Also, another thing, this guy...
Yeah, but I can trust him, he's a Redditor.
Amount, I should add.
Yeah, I trust him.
But PayPal doesn't...
Redditors wouldn't lie.
Meaning he has to be stationed in somewhere that is not Cuba. Weird considering he said he'd be using the money for services on the island located in Cuba. At this point, it seemed like Reddit did its thing and essentially gave their money to Lyle Landley in exchange for nothing. But I hear you saying, this could all be a coincidence. There's still hope, right? We can still pull this off. Well, just in case you needed any more proof, take it from the horse's mouth. Island Owner Alt made a post with a simple caption, "Thanks for the money, suckers." And in the comments, he claimed he wouldn't refund them. But wait, they still have contacts with Elon. He'll be the one.
I wonder how much they got.
It was a fake screenshot from a mod who tried to justify it as an honest mistake. It clearly was not honest in any way.
Liar, liar, plants for hire.
Hold on, I want to see the whole apology. A technological glitch. That's weird. What a weird glitch where Elon accidentally sends, or Reddit glitches out and makes you think Elon sends a DM. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my god. Oh, it's so painful. People actually sent that dude money too, and then this mod tries to just say like it was a technological glitch. I accidentally inputted the Konami cheat code, and for some reason Elon was typing to me. Oh fuck, I'm so sorry. It was weird that Reddit glitched. Curses does the narwhal bacon at midnight.
It clearly was not honest in any way.
Liar, liar, plants plants for hire.
And with that final blow and one last presentation meme came the end of Reddit Island. Kind of, but we'll get into that a bit later. First, let's get into the aftermath. In that same thread, people were claiming they were going to sue island owner Alt, and he's going to be...
God, he's really, like, kind of. Blasting through these. I want to read these.
First, let's get into the aftermath. And that's...
You're a terrible person. I would rather spend an hour locked in a room with your mother than take a single look at your greasy-ass looking face. What does that even mean? It doesn't even make any fucking sense. You suck. I'd rather be with your mom instead of you. Ouch. Shit. This reads like somebody that would send money to a guy that claims he can make a Reddit island. Have fun dealing with the FBI investigators and being sued. Yes. Can I get the FBI on the line? There was a guy on Reddit and I gave him money and he lied. Okay, thank you. Wow, I can't. This is a new low even for Reddit.
Same thread, people were claiming they were going to sue island owner Alt, and he's going to be arrested for fraud. While I don't know if he'll be arrested, this is an important note. This tells me that people certainly donated money to this.
God, there's so many comments I want to read. I'm really invested in this now. He fucking ratioed him on his own scam. On a... oh my god. Damn, that is rough.
People certainly donated money to this, and if this guy's internet rage is anything to go off of, it might have been a lot of money. There have been multiple claims floating around about the amount.
Thanks to resub Sax Facts and QD.
Donated over 30,000.
Oh, 100% he did not do that. No, absolutely not. He's just trying to get like 30k back or some shit. No way. 0% chance. Not even the dumbest person in the world would do that. Not even the most gullible geriatric octogenarian gives that kind of money away to someone they don't know on a telemarketing scam. 0 chance.
$1,000? Insane. But probably fake. Some people agreed that he would have taken around $700.
So $700 for doing nothing? That is a great deal. I imagine it's higher too. This reads like some copium. I definitely think it was more than 700. People throw money to people for no reason all the time.
$100, which seems
Thanks to Prime Salty and the resub.
But again, I haven't seen any solid
Hotbox, Skelly Boy, and Rugged.
Know what's true in this case.
The Bits Gamer.
I think we can comfortably say people got scammed here. This was clearly a failure for almost everyone. But what if it didn't have to be this way? Let's say, for the sake of argument, this actually went through. Let's say in some miracle world, Reddit bought an island and managed to get a bunch of people to move there. Then what? We could make an exclusive subreddit for island members? Yeah, I have a feeling this might not have been thought out very well. Who would even lead the island anyway?
Yo, we're coming at you live from Camp Wawana.
Thanks to resub.
In my opinion,
Ungodly.
Best case scenario, Lord of the Flies. Worst case scenario, everyone dies from lack of food, water, and shelter.
What kind of place is this?
But in a way, I kind of get the appeal. There is something kind of interesting about just getting up and leaving, isolating away from
Tier
society,
1 Chief
then
and Tier 1
advocating
Frost
for a
Phoenix.
nature-based form of anarchism and opposing the Industrial Revolution. Wait, no, not that last part. Which leads me into my thoughts on the whole thing. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm a little conflicted. On one hand, yeah, this guy scammed people after he promised something to them, and he might have committed a crime. On the other hand, come on, did you actually think you were getting an island? I mean,
yeah, I think you absolutely deserve to get scammed there if you gave him money.
Who doesn't understand technology. Kids, stop buying V-Bucks.
Is it Tier 1 Welleslaw and Tier 1 Uneasy Bake Oven?
It's kind of like the Darwin Awards, where if you take the context out of it and don't provide details, yeah, it's a bad thing.
Oh, he did.
But if you put in the context and give some backstory, there is some kind of comedy there. Did this guy commit a crime? Probably.
Nope.
Are these people naive for donating to this? Yeah! I find it hard to feel bad for people who were dumb enough to donate to someone like this with zero proof. And the mods are somewhat
not true, he had
for modding
pictures.
This guy despite that. But the story doesn't end there. You'd assume the idea of a Reddit island is essentially over. There have been 2 attempts and both have failed.
Thanks,
but what if I
Ash.
told you there are some secret underground operations that I have exclusive access to get a 3rd Reddit island going? Like the 3rd Madagascar movie that nobody remembers. There are subreddits set up now from the remainder of the Reddit island people like this
Jesus
one. Reddit
Christ.
Island Reborn.
Oh my
And
god.
this one promises to work. They even said they were going to build a theme park called Meme Land when they got there. They can't fail.
Never heard that one.
Oh my god. I want to read that. But I don't understand what this grant money has to do with anything when it's being used for research. Oh my god. What? Is he an actual bioscience student, I wonder? Oh my god. Thanks to Tier 1 Kawaii Baby and the Prime Ewok and gift sub what's in username. There's no way, yeah, there's just no fucking way. I refuse to believe that. Oh my god.
Never heard that one.
They also set up an official website, and this time they have
What?
an official team working on this, consisting of
Oh, it looks good.
Don't worry about that. They have a frequently
I
asked
trust them.
questions page. We can check there to learn more. But don't fret. They're taking donations. This isn't a money pit like the last 2, and 2 days after donations were enabled, they were disabled. Listen, guys, I'm going to be straight up with you. If you, for some reason, have any hope that this is going to work, I have a message for you.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting.
What a crazy little adventure.
That is crazy.
Thanks for 5 gift subs, Weenie. I appreciate that.
Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video.
You know what? I take back all the harsh criticism. This video is biased. It doesn't show this full story. Reddit Island is possible. I believe we can do it. We can fucking do it. This is just Fire Festival for Reddit. No, but this won't work. Assuming, of course, you donate. Well, it won't work without your contribution, obviously. Otherwise, it's doomed for failure. Thanks to the resub Hexadice and the resub just for the thanks to the Prime Hexadice and resub just for the lols. Twitch Island. Yes! Oh, yes. An island for Twitch chat. Where the streamers can have their own little base and the chat, like, around them. That'd be, like, a really cool ecosystem. Oh my god. That could be the future. That'd be amazing. You get to see your favorite streamers. Thanks to resub Darn. We throw peanuts like a zoo. Yes. Now you're seeing the big picture.